In 2008, Dodge launched the Challenger, unveiling to the world a new competitor to the Ford Mustang that already seemed to be dominating the pony car segment. There's a saying, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And Dodge looked at the success of their original Challenger when deciding to bring back this car. Various styling elements were incorporated from the original 71 Challenger for this car, which was introduced in 2008 with a refresh in 2015. Various styling elements were incorporated, such as the split front grille, the split rear taillights, as well as the appearance that the car has 4 headlights. On top of that, the theme of using the 71 Challenger for inspiration continues on to the interior, where various cues were also utilized in the dashboard as well as the center console. Now, the Challenger RT is the entry-level Challenger you can get featuring the Hemi V8. So specifically what we have here is the 5.7. Now, the engine in this car produces 375 horsepower and 410 pound-feet of torque. Now, when you consider the fact that this car weighs 4,000 pounds, you're getting a 0 to 60 of somewhere in the high 5s, so not that terrible when you consider all of that. Besides that, the Dodge Challenger is available with the 6-speed manual or the optional 8-speed automatic. Now, the 8-speed automatic will result in slightly less power and torque, but at the same time, you're also taking advantage of Dodge's fuel saver technology, which is basically cylinder deactivation. So when you're cruising, you can go from running on 8 cylinders down to 4 to save fuel. As far as fuel economy, what does that translate to? You're getting about 16 city, 25 highway, and 19 combined. So once again, when you consider everything, it's really not that terrible. As far as the interior of the Challenger, here you'll find modern touches of technology, including a gauge cluster with a 7-inch screen, a 5-inch infotainment screen with the optional 8.4-inch Uconnect infotainment system. Speaking of the Uconnect system, there's also the optional Uconnect access system available for the Challenger, and this gets you some pretty cool features as well, such as Android Auto, Apple CarPlay, you have a mobile Wi-Fi hotspot, 3D navigation, which is pretty cool as well, but even more so, you also get your keyless enter and go, as well as your anti-theft notifications, which is pretty handy as well in case you are a victim of your car being stolen. Safety has been given a high priority for the Dodge Challenger, and some of the features that can be found on this are your blind spot monitoring, your rear cross traffic alert, as well as your adaptive cruise control. One of the more interesting safety features found on here is rain brake support, where essentially every time the windshield wipers are activated, the brake calipers basically pulse the brakes a little bit to keep the rotors dry, so therefore it ensures optimum and maximum safety, for that matter, when conditions are adverse. And besides that, there's also full speed forward collision warning with active braking available. If you're an audiophile, you're gonna like the speaker systems that are available for the Dodge Challenger. The base system is a 6-speaker system with an optional upgrade to the Alpine 9-speaker 505 watt amp, which is actually what this car has, and it's pretty good, it's not bad. It could use a little more bass, I would say, but when you're really cruising and you put the volume all the way up, you can hear your music quite well. But if you are craving for more audio, you can opt for the optional Harman Kardon system, and that gets you 18 speakers, 900 watts. If you really want to bang your head to music, I'd say go for that. But if you're fancying a different kind of sound, the Dodge Challenger RT Plus also features a stainless steel exhaust system. Take a listen. So the Challenger is a pretty big coupe, as you can see, and what that means is the Challenger has a back seat. Now, you can slide the seat forward and you can hop in. You got pretty good clearance. And then you bring the seat back, adjust it to how the front passenger would have it, and you got a good amount of comfort back here. The nice plush leather seating is nice. You got perforated leather here. And for somebody who's 5'9", my head is almost touching the ceiling, but overall, I'm not too terribly cramped back here. So overall, backseat on the Challenger, not too bad. All right, now that we are finally behind the wheel of the Dodge Challenger RT, what's it like to drive? Pretty good. I am pretty impressed with this car, I will say. I'm just going through some country roads right here, and with the power and the torque that's readily available by this 5.7 liter, you really don't have any problem getting up to speed. Challenger is a pretty big car, so it might take a little bit of getting used to when you drive this car, as far as getting comfortable where the boundaries are and keeping in consideration its size. I'm going up a mountain right now, and it's got tons of torque to really pull it forward and bring it up to speed. So it's not going to disappoint in that department. So we do got a lot of torque on this car, like I was saying, 410 pound-feet of torque, and that really is enough to get these wheels spinning. Now, I do have the car set in sport mode here. There's a little button you can press down here, Super Track Pack, and you can basically refine all kinds of settings like your engine tuning, transmission shift response times, steering input, and so on. And if you're careless, you can get the wheels spinning and you can get the back end out. It's really not hard to do that. And of course, I still have traction control turned on. And mind you, we're driving an RT. This is a sort of middle of the range Challenger. We're not even at the Hellcat and the Demon and the Red Eye levels yet. And it's already this much of a loose cannon. Now, it can be civilized when you want it to, like how I'm driving now. And it's a nice cruiser. But when you're feeling wild and you want to carve through some of these back roads here, just put your foot down and you get moving. And of course, the 8-speed automatic that is found in this car is very peppy too. It's great for cruising on the highway. You get very good fuel economy for a car of these proportions. And even more so, the Challenger RT even has launch control. So you just put your foot down on the brake pedal, you can adjust the RPM at which you want your launch control to take off at, and you get going. So the suspension on the Challenger is also pretty decent. I mean, it's firm, you can tell it's firm, but the Challenger offers a pretty decent ride. I'm very comfortable sitting here. It's just a modern rendition of what a muscle car should be, what a muscle car is. Big engine, rear wheel drive, manual transmission. So, do I have any complaints with the Challenger? Well, the thing is, the Challenger, if you want to get a V8, you're going to have to spend like $35,000, $37,000, and you're getting the 5.7 liter, but the thing is, you're getting like 370, 380 horsepower. Now, with the Mustang and the Chevy Camaro, you're spending 35, 37 grand, and you're getting 460 horsepower in the Mustang, 450, 460 or so also in the Camaro. So same power for the same price. But the thing is, with the Challenger, if you want to get anywhere near that, you're going to have to step up and get an SRT, and that's going to run you well into the 40s. The only thing is the dashboard here in the Challenger is similar to the Charger in the sense that the rubber material used here, it's not the greatest looking thing, but I will say it does look better in this car than it did in the Charger. In the Charger, it looked more fake, didn't look as nice, but even more so the gauge cluster and the infotainment system. It's very reminiscent of the original Challenger from the 70s. But if you have a manual, for example, you want to use the parking brake, you have a foot brake here, you have a foot pedal, which can get annoying. I would figure what's wrong with a regular old handbrake, but of course Chrysler did this to save money, and this is not the only example in here where they cut corners. These window switches here, they're fully automatic down, but you have to hold them for bringing them up. Why couldn't they just make it fully automatic up and down? But the thing is, it's little cost-cutting techniques here and there that keep the price down, because if it wasn't for all this, this would be over a $40,000 car, and at that point it'd be very hard to compete with the Mustang and the Camaro. And the other thing is, in the back seat, the side panels are not made out of the nicest materials, but I guess Dodge didn't really spend a whole lot in the back seat of the Challenger, giving it priority as far as design. It's all up here in the front, which is pretty decent. It's not bad for a car like this, but it's just something that I've noticed if I have to nitpick. And of course, the usual suspect, the biggest problem with the Challenger is its size and its weight. This is a 4,000 pound car. If you have the bigger engine, 392 or a Hellcat or a Demon, it's only going to weigh even more, and that's a lot of weight to lug around. And you do have a big engine at that point, but still, it's just a big car, and it might take a little bit of getting used to. This might be challenging to park in the city, or if you're in a place where the parking is tight. It is wide, it is pretty long, so it kind of feels like you're driving a sedan just with two doors. So in a way, it's nice because you kind of feel like you're king of the road, but sometimes that comes at a price, and that can be getting in tight turns. Some of the cool options that the Challenger also has as far as the interior are heated and ventilated seats. But even more so, if it's a brisk, cold morning, Dodge Challenger also offers, in addition to heated front seats, you also have a heated steering wheel as well, so that's pretty nice. Challenger overall is a pretty nice cruiser, and you get a decent sized trunk space as well. So if you need to fold down the rear seats to get a little more room, you can do that as well. But overall, I love the Challenger. I love the styling. The interior is pretty nice for a muscle car, I'll say. You get some pretty decent luxuries as well. Ground clearance is pretty good. You can get the Challenger in all-wheel drive if you want, if you live in a climate where you have snow. But the mirrors are cool. I love how rounded they are and ovular, and again, homage to the older Challengers. But I think that when Dodge brought back this Challenger, the third generation Challenger, they did a pretty good job. They hit the nail on the head. Styling is pretty much on point. Engines are pretty nice. There's an array of engines, V6, V8 engines, anywhere from 250, 300 horse all the way up to 700, 800 horsepower, depending on what you get and what you like. But overall, this is a pretty well executed car. And of course, you do have these paddle shifters here as well, this being the automatic. You do have them right here behind the steering wheel, and they are pretty nice. They're a nice silver finish, nice metal paddle shifters, so that's pretty cool. So ultimately, if you are in the market for a Dodge Challenger, I think this is a pretty decent buy. Now, this car was in the mid-30s when it was brand new, but even more so, I've noticed when you look online and you're trying to price out what Challengers are available and what you're looking to spend, they seem to be holding their value pretty decent. So if you're looking at this car from an investment perspective, you want to drive it around for a little bit and then move on to something else afterwards, Challenger seems to be holding its value pretty decently as well. I mean, I'm seeing examples that have, 30, 40, 50,000 miles on them, and they're still going for like $35,000, $32,000. Some of them are in the 20s as well, but this car seems to be holding its value pretty decently. And of course, being a car of this size, it's good to have a backup camera because it just makes it that much more easier to park. However, the backup camera in the Challenger, I think, could be better. It's okay. It's not awful. You do get an 8-inch screen up here, so that obviously helps a lot when you're trying to back up and make sure you don't hit anything. But just as far as the quality of the camera, the resolution, the colors, they could be better, and I was hoping for something better for a car like this, especially in this price point. And you would hope to have a nice backup camera considering how ginormous that C-pillar is back there. When you look at it, in the automotive world, that's like the size of a football field. But regardless, you would want to have something to aid in the ability of backing up, considering that it's pretty hard to see out of that corner. It's quite a big blind spot. I think that the engine that you have up front, the rear-wheel drive, the amount of fun that you can get driving this car, you can drive it civilized to the supermarket, to the grocery store, or if you gotta go pick up your dry cleaning. And when you wanna have some fun, if you're cruising with your friends or you're just feeling a little spirited, you can have fun. You just turn the traction control off, and of course, discretion is advised because the tail is quite happy. So just something to keep in mind when you get behind the wheel of the Challenger RT. And my final verdict on the Challenger is that this is a pretty cool car. So with that, I hope that you guys enjoyed this review on the 2017 Dodge Challenger RT Plus. I hope that you guys enjoyed this video as much as I did filming it, and if you did, please go ahead and give me a big thumbs up. Please comment, rate, and subscribe. Go ahead and hit that bell icon to receive notifications. Follow me on Instagram at Garage Denali for more updates. Thank you very much. Take care.